The new and improved PlayStation Plus is now available worldwide, meaning that everyone has access to the 3-tiered subscription system, with the revised PlayStation Now and Classics catalog also finally available for us in Europe. And Jordan will be here to tell you all about that, right?
Yes, I quickly want to chime in with the experience I had with the extra and premium tier so far.
Awesome, so while pre-recorded Jordan, as he's currently enjoying a holiday, will tell you all about that, there's still the new monthly games to go over, as well as our first day one on PS Plus title and other upcoming titles we might see as a part of PlayStation Plus. So if you're excited about that, a like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go.
Okay, so before Dennis and Joyce tell you about the new monthly games that were announced and some other upcoming titles that will be added, I quickly want to share my experience with the service after it launched in Europe. So browsing and downloading the new titles that were added is super easy. You can even pick a PS5 or PS4 version if you play on PS5. They are like super small, they appear on your home screen, so that all works great. Yes, I played Toy Story 2, a game that I rented for PS1 like back in the day. And even though I really have to get used to the fact that I cannot use the second analog stick to move the camera, I still find it surprisingly fun. And here I miss a jump, but thanks to the new rewind feature via the brand new classic menu, you can just instantly try it again without having to find your way back up. Or if you failed an objective in Savian Filter, for example, just rewind and there you go. Also, the save and load feature via this new menu works really well. I could just save anywhere and then, okay, here I die, boom, I instantly load that save I just made, and then I start from there instead of from the checkpoint that is way further back. You can also earn some trophies from selected classic titles, but in Europe, some versions are still the 50 Hz instead of 60, which make them appear a bit slower than they should be. But Sony is already aware of it and working on a fix, so I hope that appears soon. I also tried streaming some PS3 games because of course you can't play them natively. This works fine, it's of course similar to how PS Now used to work. Had lag sometimes while playing Ratchet & Clank, but overall it works pretty fine. I also tried God of War Ascension, which had a countdown to the first Last of Us. Yeah, trying that did not really go well. So the multiplayer is still working though, although it's really hard to find a quick match, almost like impossible. Dennis and I did search for a match at the same time, and then we could battle it out. But let's not talk about how that went.
No, I agree. I think we can just let the footage speak for itself here. There's no words needed.
No, but overall, my experience with these PS3 games, not ideal. There are also references to the PlayStation Store in God of War Ascension, but when you click those, it doesn't work and then they just reboot the whole game. The catalog is also pretty limited. Now, the catalog of PS4 and PS5 titles that you get with the second extra tier is really strong though, for the extra fee that you have to pay on top of Essential. And we already know one awesome looking title that is dropping day one in July, with maybe even more coming later.
Thanks for the info, Jor, and you're right, there's some exciting stuff coming in the future as well. Joyce will tell you all about that day one PS Plus title in a bit, but first let's have a look at some potential titles that might be coming to the PS Plus library in the future. We have Slimane over on Reddit posting an image of the revamped French PS Plus menu with an image of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. And yeah, what is that doing there if the game is currently not part of the library? This has to be there for a reason, you'd think. I mean, sure, it could be for a trial, but looking at the selection we currently have, I think a trial for Rift Apart would already be out right now if we'd get one. So, my bet is the game will be part of the extra tiers game catalogus somewhere in the near future. But a game that likely will feature a day one trial is The Last of Us Part 1. Like with Rift Apart, someone on Reddit found an image of the new PS Plus hub, this time with the key art for The Last of Us Part 1 next to it. Which, again, why is that there if there's no content for the game currently with PS Plus? Well, because it will likely be there at some point in the future, right? Now, it seems very unlikely that Part 1 will be part of the game catalogus on the day of release, but with the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection already having a trial currently, a game trial for The Last of Us seems like a much safer bet. Of course, with not every trial being the same length, I'd count on a shorter one for Joel and Ellie's adventure, since it's mostly the open world games like Cyberpunk and Horizon that get the extended trials.
And while we of course seen the day one on Game Pass line many times already, Sony now also has the ability to add games games to their subscription service on the day of launch. And the first title that will be making use of that opportunity is Stray, the game which has you play as a cat lost in a futuristic city inhabited by robots. You and your robot buddy, B12, can climb, crawl, and jump your way through the city, as well as interact with the robots living there to find out more about the world. Most importantly, the game has some extra features to fully immerse you into being a cat, like a dedicated meow button or the option to claw at a door to get someone's attention. A lot of these features were designed by observing real cat behavior. In the official PlayStation blog post, Blue12 notes that they have 2 cats in the studio working with them every day, called Oscar and June. Thanks to these 2, it gave them quite a lot of inspiration for the various cat interactions that are possible throughout the game. Very little is known about the overarching narrative, with Polygon noting that Blue12 studio producers kept much of the plot and unlockable memories of Stray secret during our preview in an attempt to preserve the story. So I'm really curious how engaging the whole story behind this robot-filled city is going to be, but I mean, come on, you have to admit that playing as a cat is a pretty unique setting for a video game already. We have to wait and see when the game launches on July 19th, and it will be available to play on PC as well.
It's also really cool to launch a title like this via a subscription service, which means that people that are on the fence about a game are a lot likelier to try a smaller, more unique title like this. And of course, no matter what tier of PlayStation Plus you've subscribed to, everyone will be getting 3 games at the start of the month. The games for next month have just been officially revealed, and there's some pretty good ones in the selection. And the first on the list, at least for me, has to be Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. This colorful platformer is currently sitting on an 85 on Metacritic, and it's easy to see why, as it brings a lot of new stuff to the Crash franchise. Crash and the other playable characters are much more mobile now thanks to the new wall running, rope swinging and rail grinding mechanics. And yes, there's multiple playable characters for you to enjoy too, including some with their own unique moves. The level design has also reached new levels of crazy thanks to the new quantum masks, which grant you powers like the ability to flip gravity to play on the ceiling, or the ability to slow down time and make some otherwise impossible jumps. And there's a lot of content here as well, with the extra unlockable flashback levels, hidden collectibles and unlockable costumes for the playable characters, and the unlockable inverted mode, which lets you play remixed versions of already completed levels. Not only are the directions flipped, but each level now also has its own unique visual filter, which can sometimes change up the gameplay as well. I mean, this one looks like a ton of fun. I'll definitely be trying this one out. If you're not that big a fan of bright colors, then the second game in the selection might be more for you. Man of Medan is the first part of Supermassive's Dark Pictures anthology, a series of standalone cinematic horror stories with a branching narrative. If you're familiar with Supermassive's other work like Until Dawn or more recently The Quarry, you'll know what to expect here. You'll mostly be exploring your surroundings for clues, making dialogue choices or performing quicktime events, but given the fact that every character you can play as can live or die due to your actions, there is a lot at stake here. And yes, there are multiple characters that you play as throughout the story, as a group of friends on a diving trip are forced to explore the ghost ship Urang Medan, which is of course where everything starts to go horribly wrong. It has a 69 on Metacritic, nice, so at the very least save this one in your library for Halloween if you don't feel like playing it now, or if you miss it you can still play it via the extra tiers game catalogus, as it's also available there. And then the final PS Plus game for July is Arcadegeddon. This co-op PvE PvP shooter is developed by Ilphonic, who you might remember from Predator Hunting Grounds. Similar to that game, they made a multiplayer game with a unique twist, as your co-op missions in this third-person shooter will feature a mid-run PvP segment where you battle your friends for a chance at extra loot. There's also an option for you to just play the PvP mode if that's more your fancy, but for the bulk of the game, you and your friends will be fighting hordes of enemies in different evolving biomes, collecting better weapons as you play. There's also special abilities you can unlock, which are tied to the gangs in the game, as noted on the game's official website. Completing challenges will unlock Surge Gauntlet abilities to help you in defeating the arcade's enemies. The game is currently in early access, but it's preparing to go into full release in a few days from now. And from the looks of it, there's tons of collectibles to customize your character. The game has also been adding a lot of new weapons and modes in early access, so I think there's a pretty high chance that there's a lot of content to be added after the official launch as well. So let us know which one of these seems the most exciting to you. Remember to leave a like if you liked the video and subscribe so you won't miss the next one. If you want, you can watch a previous video for a more general overview of the new PlayStation Plus tiers. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.